Good evening, my name is Max Deutsch. I'm the president of the Republican Club of Century Village, and I want to thank everybody for coming. We have an exciting program this evening, but before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge 7 people. First, a big thanks to Fred Hadley, who just... Fred Hadley has probably helped me more than anybody else. The Village Century publicity, the publicity for getting Democrats. He worked with the people that are working for Samantha Bee. He got backup sound in case our sound went out, and he helped with the publicity for the Republican Club. I want to thank Stan Siegel. Stan gave us this large room. He helped set up for the large crowd, worked with the Turner, Samantha Bee people. Mike Lemongelli contacted Democrats all over the county. The 9 people from the Samantha Bee people that have provided you cake and coffee, and I'll tell you about that, who they are in a minute. Alan and Rabbi, I want to thank them, and Karen Bessner, the moderator and organizer. We also have here from DEC Zomel leaders, Linda and Nerv Rosenthal, Ed Saul, president of the United South City Democrat Club, Arlene Houston, the National Organization for Women, and Michael Barnett, he's the head of the Republican Club in Palm Beach County. All right. Before, excuse me, Michael Cantwell, president of the Democrat Club, is going to speak right after me, and after that we're having Florence Tisch and Bernard Feldman. Bernard Feldman is a veteran. He's going to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and Florence Tisch is going to sing God Bless America. Now, Michael, here's a
Mike, thanks. I'll give it back. Hi, thanks, Max. And as he said, I'm Michael Cantwell. I'm the secretary of the Democratic Club of Delray Beach, also the editor of the the club's newsletter, the Delray Democrat. We're co-sponsoring the debate, and I'd like to offer a few introductory comments. First, I think it's critical that we, all Americans, continue to debate the pressing issues facing our nation. So our club is happy to be part of this debate and grateful to Barry Silver for representing the Democratic position. We also look forward to what Alan Bergstein will have to say. Now, tens of millions of Americans don't participate in the political process. Many, including our youth, and I see there's many in attendance tonight, claim, perhaps with some validity, that what they say or believe does not make a difference. True or not, that is, of course, a self-fulfilling prophecy, so it's nice to see a packed house tonight. Second, and equally important to democracy, is the ability to debate civilly, to be able to agree to disagree. That said, it seems to me increasingly difficult to do so. And that's not just because we're becoming increasingly polarized, it's because debate is meaningless unless grounded in fact. We're all entitled to our own opinions, but none of us is entitled to our own facts. For example, we can debate Barack Obama's stewardship of the economy, but meaningful debate is impossible if you tell me that jobs tanked and unemployment soared during his tenure, when the empirical evidence establishes the reverse.
You want me to stop now?
I've been asked to stop.
Florence, Bernard Tillman. Everybody please stand. Bernard's he's a war veteran, and he's gonna lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Right here. Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets streaming, the monsters singing, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, save us that star-spangled banner for the land of the free and all of the brave.
I'm turning the mic over to Karen Bessner, is going to be moderating the debate. If you wanted to know why we have the cameras, eventually some of what you're seeing tonight will be on the Samantha Bee Show. That's part of Turner Broadcasting.
Hello, everyone.
Hold it down, Karen.
I am pleased to be your moderator tonight. Thank you for coming. First of all, I want to welcome everyone to this debate, and I wish to thank the Century Village Republican Club and the Delray Democratic Club for agreeing to co-sponsor this important event. We have two excellent debaters here tonight who will be discussing Trump's first 165 days, success or failure, and the absence of civility in modern political discourse. Both debaters are well known in South Florida community. Rabbi Barry Silver is the spiritual leader of Congregation Lador Vidor in Boynton Beach. He is also an attorney at law and a former state legislator. Alan Bergstein is a retired New York City junior high school principal, a United States Army vet, and a founding father and president of the new Judeo-Christian Republican Club of Palm Beach. Before we begin, I wish to caution the audience against any undue displays of emotion. Listen to this. Booing, hissing, and commentary, either positive or negative, cannot be allowed. There will be a period after the debate for questions and answers and/or comments for those who want to, but any interruptions during this debate cannot be tolerated. We are living in a time where civil discourse has become a vanishing art form, and this debate is an important part of the democratic process. Political debates have been at the very forefront of civil discourse, ever since the founding of our republic. The late Hubert Humphrey once said that freedom is hammered out on the anvil of dissension, discussion, and debate. By all means, let us have a good debate, a spirited debate, but above all, a civil debate. Thank you. With that being said, I would like to lay the ground rules for all of us. The debate will entail questions posed on topics that are timely and newsworthy. Each debater will have 5 minutes to make their opening and closing statements. Both debaters will get 2 minutes each to answer my questions, and then 1 minute after for rebuttal. As mentioned, there will be a question and answer session after the debate for as long as time allows. We will set up a microphone in the middle of the aisle for anyone who wishes to pose a question and or a comment to either Rabbi Barry and or Alan Bergstein. It would be appreciated if you keep your questions and answers and comments no longer than 1 minute, so that everyone that is here who wants to gets an opportunity to be heard. So, let's begin the show. The first person that we're going to hear the opening statement would be Rabbi Barry.
I would like to ask everyone to please turn off your cell phone if you have one. And I want to thank everyone for coming, and I want to thank the organizers. And I want to thank my friend Alan Bergstein for participating in this debate. I've engaged in dialogue and debate with him many times, often in my synagogue, which is one of the very few synagogues, if any, where we invite someone each month who disagrees with me to come in and exchange views in a civil way. I wish all religious institutions would open themselves up to other points of view rather than attempting to indoctrinate people. Alan and I have much in common. We both love America. We both love Judaism. We both love Israel. We both believe in speaking out as we see it. We both believe that people can get involved and make this world a better place. And I can tell that everyone in this room shares that belief. And that belief is very, very important. And I thank you for coming on this 5th of July. We celebrate the Declaration of Independence +1. And the Declaration of Independence is from 1776. But the constitutional ratification, the Bill of Rights, that didn't happen until 1789, which shows that this country did not mature until it was bar mitzvah. The Bill of Rights is an incredible document guaranteeing the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness through amendments and protections and freedoms. But these rights are not rights, they are illusions. If we all don't have access to health care, if a child has some disease and the parents can't afford the treatment, it doesn't have a right to life. It can't be free. It can't pursue happiness. We had people in wheelchairs who were protesting against the effort to take health care away. Protesting, and I've never seen anyone stand so tall as those people in wheelchairs when they said, if we don't have access to health care and to the health care provisions that are in place right now, we will not be free. We'll be put in an institution and confined. I want to thank Alan Bergstein because I only talk about socialized medicine. He practices it and lives it. He, as a principal in a school, was employed in a process called socialized education, in which everybody pays money into the government, whether they have children or not, and the government then pays for the education of all people, and paid his salary, and pays for his socialized health care, and pays for his socialized medicine, and pays for Medicare, which is socialism. My yarmulke is off to Alan, because I only talk about it. He lives and practices socialism. We are here in Beth Shalom, the house of peace, and I am glad to see that we are peaceful. My father was a very skilled debater. We named the Controversial Issues series after him. And he always taught me that you should not try to win the argument. You should try to win the person. And I am here to tell you that I've been asked so many times, are you going to win the debate? Are you going to win the debate? Are you going to win? Whether people cheer for me or not, that doesn't mean who won. That means who has more people out there, perhaps. I tell you today that we will both win the debate, and we will all win the debate if we walk out of here as friends. My mother was driven here from her abode by a Republican. And I hope when the two of them leave, they are still on very good terms. And she still has a ride home. I'll be glad to take her if not. My father-in-law is a Republican. And every time I go up to visit him in Pittsburgh, I tell him, please, tell my kids how you feel. Tell them why you think Obama is horrible. Tell them why you're a Republican. I want my children to hear both sides of an argument and to be able to critically evaluate it and not just be given one side. I also believe that the first casualty of fanaticism is a sense of humor. I believe that it is vital that we maintain our sense of humor. And towards that end, Donald Trump has inspired me to write a series of parodies. I'm going to share with you, in the limited time I have, a little bit of these parodies. When you're lonely in the White House, watching MSNBC, and they criticize you, let it be, let it be. When you're watching Joe and Mika, and you strongly disagree, there's no need for yelling, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Don't go kicking your TV. There's no need to answer, let it be. We've heard enough of women bleeding. It even irks the GOP. We're tired of your tweeting. So let it be, let it be.
Okay, Alan.
I literally have tears running down my eyes. I mean, the guy is filled with compassion. First of all, let me thank you for coming here tonight. This is a rare opportunity in Palm Beach County for a Republican to be able to stand up and express the values of the Republican Party. We are banished from every other venue in Palm Beach County. So thank you for coming here today, and thank you for listening to me. Don't eat up my 5 minutes. I have a little bit of a warning for the Republicans in the audience. You're being videotaped here by a Samantha Bee crew. They're the nicest guys in the world. They are the sweetest guys in the world. I've met them, I've known them. However, they work for an organization, Turner Broadcasting System, TBS, which is virulently radical leftist, and Samantha Bee happens to be far left, and if you watch her programs, she denounces Donald Trump every single time she speaks. However, if you make a comment as a Republican, be sure it's going to be probably edited and pasted onto the final version. If you go into the room where they're going to give you pastrami sandwiches, be careful what you say. Everything you say is going to be recorded, and it is up to them, whether they want to or not, to have the legal right to cut and paste it and make you possibly look like a fool. So be very, very careful. Next thing, we talked about civility. And I am a person who believes in civility. I was born a Jewish umbilical cord Democrat in Brooklyn. I was raised a hardcore socialist family, and I changed because as I got older, I matured physically and mentally. I matured educationally and what have you. So we talk about civility. I want civility. Do the Democrats want civility? This is civility on the part of the Democrat media. This is civility on the part of the Democrat media. This is what we've seen, and this is what we've heard. I'm going to take another 15 seconds, if I may, because of that interruption. If you take up my time with heckling, hey, I'll continue my speech. Nevertheless, we have had Donald Trump vilified. Listen to me, you Democrats in the audience. Get over it. He won. He's the President of the United States. Live with it. 8 years ago, when Barack Obama was elected president,
Excuse me, I'm going to have to give him more time. Every time that somebody speaks out and makes comment, I laid the ground rules. Let him speak. Whatever he says, I think you can handle just holding your emotions in for a little while. Just go, and I'm giving you now another 15 seconds.
I'll take 20 seconds. Listen, civility is what I want when it comes to the President of the United States. When Barack Obama was elected 8 years ago, I was very unhappy about it. I was not happy, but I said, live with it. I lived with for 4 years. I voted against him again. I campaigned against him again, and he won again. And I lived with it. I never demeaned him. I never vilified him. I never shouted out against him. I never cursed him. But when Barry, sitting here, and I like Barry, he's my friend, starts to parody the President of the United States in front of citizens of the United States, this to me is an act totally of incivility. When Maxine Waters, a leading Democrat, called me a scumbag, when Hillary Clinton called me a killer, when Black Lives Matter goes out on rampages and the Democrats stand and support them, this bothers me. That is incivility. When students in universities burn down their campus buildings because they're unhappy, that bothers me. That's incivility. When a college in the Midwest chases out all of its white professors and students because the black students want a day of their own at the college, this is incivility. And I've lived through that. I'm a Jewish kid who lived in New York City during the Holocaust, and I lost many of my relatives overseas to not only incivility, but the growth of incivility, which is hate.
15 more seconds.
Okay. Hate comes from incivility. When Barry parodies the President of the United States, there may be some people who are literally unhinged in the audience who'll take him at his word. I am concerned about that, and I will fight against incivility.
Thank you. You see that we have perfect timing on both sides. He finished his song, and he finished his speech at exactly the right time. So now we're going into the first question of the evening. First question is, and this will be Alan that will be speaking first. He gets 2 minutes, then Barry will get 2 minutes, then Alan will get 1 minute to rebut, and then Barry will get 2 minutes, 1 minute to rebut. The question is, the issue of Russia has been dominating the news as of late, with Democrats alleging collusion by the Trump campaign with Russia and Russian interference in the last election. In your opinion, is there anything to these assertions? Alan.
Absolutely nothing at all. It is the Democratic Party. I'm starting again. Give me another 20 seconds, please. I could do this all night, you know. I'm prepared to do this all night.
Okay. I really don't want to have to go through this because we're going to end up going home at 11:30 at night, and I think you all have better things to do. So I'm going to say now one more time, because I really worked for a long time laying the ground rules. No laughing, just sit here, relax, take it easy, listen to what he says. Barry will say his thing, and then you go and have some coffee and enjoy. Let's not do this, because we're going to keep on going back. And I don't feel like it, because on my cell phone, we don't have 15 seconds. Thank you. So, start.
My answer is absolutely not. When I was a kid, back in the 1940s, it was a Democrat Party with Henry Wallace, a communist lover of Russia, as Vice President of the United States. As I grew up, I saw that the Democrat Party was leaning towards Russia. I saw that every single Democrat administration leaned towards Russia. When it came to the Cold War, it was the Democrats who backed down against Russia. So let me move up now currently to what we have today. Hillary Clinton received in the Clinton household campaign fund, the Hillary Chelsea Bill Clinton fund, hundreds of millions of dollars from Russian corporations. She sold, as Secretary of State, she sold 20% of our uranium deposits to Russia because she received hundreds of millions of dollars in donations to our fund. Bill Clinton received $500,000 just after Russia acquired 20% of our uranium deposits. When Barack Obama backed down in 2009 and took away our anti-ballistic missiles from Czechoslovakia and Poland, he did it at the behest of Putin. When he sat down with Medvedev in an open mic and he said to President Medvedev, tell Vladimir Putin, when I get re-elected in my second campaign, I'll be able to be more encouraging to listen to what he had to say. The Democrats basically are concerned with and are involved with Russia. Bernie Sanders, an acknowledged communist, spent his honeymoon in Russia. Okay, I'll start again. Bernie Sanders, in his honeymoon, took it in Russia because this is a man who is an avowed Marxist socialist. My concern is that the Democrats, having nothing against President Trump, have alluded to his collusion. There is not one iota hint of evidence at all that he has colluded with Russia. None whatsoever. Thank you for your civility.
Okay, now Barry has 2 minutes.
Alan tends to confuse civility with servility. He believes that we must be servile to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump wants everyone to be servile. Singing a song, doing a parody, is not incivility. It was done by Stéphane Charbonnier, who mocked Islam. And when he was threatened with death for mocking, he said, I would rather live on my feet than die on my knees. And therefore, we in the United States have a right and an obligation, when someone makes a mockery of democracy, to respond in kind. As far as Putin goes, if you want to see if Donald Trump is controlled by Russia, the proof is in the Putin. Alan says, no evidence whatsoever. Just like Donald Trump, 17 agencies, all the intelligence services said there's some interference going on. He denies all of it and calls them Nazis. He calls the intelligence agencies Nazis. And I'm so glad to hear Alan say he's against incivility. I know he's going to speak out against that. I know he's going to speak out against saying that a woman is bleeding out of her whatever. I know he's going to speak out against Donald Trump mocking the disabled. I know he's going to speak out against the incredible amount of incivility coming from the White House. I'm so glad to hear that he's on our side on that situation. Why is it that Donald Trump says nothing wrong with Putin? He admitted it. He said about Putin, he's a strong leader. Oh, yes, he is. Yes, but nothing bad. Do you know that Donald Trump praised a man who supports a regime in Syria which uses poison gas, which has bombed and killed so many people? Donald Trump will support him. Why? He admitted it. He said, if he says good things about me, I'll say good things about him. He is being played.
Alan, 1 minute to rebut, if you want.
You know, the 17 agencies have turned into 4 agencies. These 4 agencies are agencies that were totally controlled, manipulated, and people were put in during the Obama administration. There is absolutely no evidence whatsoever. The top Democrats have said There is no evidence whatsoever that Donald Trump colluded with Russia. There is no evidence, basically, that his son-in-law colluded with Russia. There is no evidence at all that he has business relationships with Russia. This is absolutely the unhinged Democrat Party having nothing else to say against Donald Trump. He won the election fair and square. They checked the votes in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, and in Michigan, and he came out winning maybe hundreds of more votes. They then said the Electoral College is at fault. Then they said, my goodness, what do we do now? Here is the President of the United States, and he is basically, if I watch MSNBC, CBS, they try to humiliate him because there is no other reason for them to attack him.
Thank you very much. All right. So now, Gary, you get 1 minute.
It's fascinating that Donald Trump says no evidence of any interference whatsoever. And then the next day he says, oh yeah, there's overwhelming evidence, and President Obama didn't do anything about it. You can't believe a word out of his mouth. He says one thing and then says the opposite. And if he's excoriating President Obama, and of course every demagogue needs an enemy, but if you're going to blame Obama for not doing anything, why doesn't he do something? He's the president now and he has all this extra time and all this information. Sessions says, oh, we've never really talked about it. The biggest threat to the United States, a foreign government challenging and trying to infiltrate and influence our government, and he has nothing to say. And why doesn't he say anything about it? Oh, I forgot. Putin said nice things about him. Therefore, he can invade Crimea. He can kill off political opponents. He can support the most vicious regime there is. Say something nice about Donald, he'll say something nice about you.
Do you notice how well scheduled they are? It's quite amazing. Number 2, question. The building of a border wall along the Mexican border is a major part of the Trump agenda. This topic, along with enforcing existing immigration law, defunding sanctuary cities, the recent passage of Kate's Law, and other issues, has aroused a great deal of emotion on both sides of the political spectrum. In your opinion, is this the correct policy to follow, and why? And this one is going to Rabbi Barry for first, and he will get 2 minutes.
Donald Trump, like other Americans, both parties, have legitimate concerns about the security of the United States. And he is correct that we need to do a better job of protecting the people of the United States from foreign powers. However, like Joe McCarthy, who, like Donald Trump, used to be a Democrat and then switched to Republican and took an issue and manufactured it so that if you challenged him, you were un-American. Donald Trump is doing the same thing with the immigration issue by demagoguing the issue and coming up with things that are preposterous and unhelpful. He says he's going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it. I think even Allen probably realized that he was lying about that by now. But maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he still believes that. But that's nonsense. He tried to enact a Muslim ban. He said in the campaign, we should ban all Muslims. Oh yeah, I forgot. He forgot about that and said something different afterwards. But he decided to change that. The country that is the most responsible for the greatest or the worst terrorist attack on the United States was Saudi Arabia. Why doesn't he ban people from Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia is sponsoring madrasas. He goes to Saudi Arabia and he says all these great things about how we should fight terrorism. Does he ever mention that they finance terrorism, that they teach terrorism, that they finance madrasas? Does he ever do that? Oh no, no, no. You know why? He did a business deal with them. Oh yeah, he's making money off of them. And they laid out the red carpet and they said nice things about Donald. You could commit any terrorist act you want. He's so solipsistic, it doesn't matter what you do. If you say a nice thing about him, he's your buddy. And if you're a fellow Republican, you say something bad about him, you're his enemy.
Okay, so now, Alan, you get 2 minutes.
Let's get something straight about this border wall and Mexican immigration and the Muslim immigration. When I came into Century Village this evening, I had to pull out my driver's license. There was a guard at the gate who probably was armed inside his little shack. He had to lift up the gate. He had to call in to see if someone was going to let me in. And when I went in and I drove around this beautiful community, I saw that there was a wall around this community. And I say, listen, you Democrats who live in Century Village, go to the next board meeting and say, we want to do away with this guard shack that we have here. We want to do away with our gates. We want to do with our walls. We want Century Village to be open to the community because we want to share what we have. We want to share our swimming pools with the other communities who live outside of us. Yes, and we want to share our tennis courts, and we want to share our clubhouse. So anyone in Century Village who is against Donald Trump asking each new immigrant to come in, show me some identification, tell me who you are, tell me if you were a criminal. All of you are hypocrites. Then let's get on with the Muslim thing. Where Democrats want Muslims to come in from Syria, they want them to come in from Iraq. And they tell us that they are vetted. They say, God, it takes 2 years to vet one of these immigrants. I looked at the TV and I saw that in Syria, there's not one building standing in the main cities. Are they going to call up the police department and say, listen, could you check Muhammad Ali here and see if he's a criminal? There is nobody there who is going to give them that information. And if they did, they would say, listen, he's Taliban, he's ISIS, let him come in, he's with us. This is outrageous. And as far as the 6 Muslim countries from which Donald Trump wants to, it's over. It was Barack Obama's 6 countries in the first place.
Okay, now, Rabbi Barry, you get 1 minute to rebut.
Wait. By declaring war on all Muslims and treating them as a blanket group by saying that no Muslim should be allowed in, as he did in the campaign, that is the best thing that he could do to aid and abet ISIS and to turn off the Muslim community. I am very friendly with friendly Muslims, and what we need to do is what Israel did. Israel's ambassador, who invited Muslims from all the surrounding nations on Ramadan and offered his home in friendship to them, because Israel is intelligent enough to realize that we need to befriend the friendly Muslims and to fight to the death against the violent ones and use intelligence, not double talk and not lying and not pretending and not saying one thing and another. To say that he's going to ban all Muslims, as he did on the campaign trail, is such a horrible thing to say. And we need a president who's responsible, not immature.
Okay, 1 more minute. Now
Donald Trump has not called for legislation banning every single Muslim from coming into this country. He has used the 6 same nations that Barack Obama labeled as terrorist nations and banned immigration from those 6 nations. He's doing exactly what Barack Obama did. And as far as saying that let's bring in friendly Muslims as opposed to unfriendly Muslims, Europe tried that. Europe tried that, and now there are areas in France, Germany, Holland, England, where you cannot go because these friendly Muslims have taken over these communities and banned the people who live in that country from going there. So to say that we're going to distinguish between friendly and unfriendly Muslims is totally impossible. Because I, in this country and in this county, have not met basically any Muslim who would stand up and say, I am for the survival of Israel, I am against terrorism. I have not met one Muslim. And Barry, you're close to them. Tell me if you have one.
Okay. So that ends that question. And if anyone wants to, at the end, address these questions, we can at the end. I'll give you an opportunity. The third question is, recently, President Trump announced his decision to pull the United States out of the Paris Accords on climate control, an act which has provoked an outpouring of denunciations from the left, as well as approval from the right. Excuse me, put that down, please. It bothers me, you know? Thank you. What is the truth behind the issue? Okay, so now we have Alan going first. 2 minutes.
Climate change. Oh, I love climate change. When I was taking a geology course in Brooklyn College, we went to Prospect Park, and my geology professor of geology course that Al Gore never took, by the way, took us into Prospect Park, and he showed us the terminal moraines of the Great Ice Age. There were scratches on the rock. When the Great Ice Age stopped in Prospect Park, they brought rocks with them and scratched it. So I asked those people who believe in man-made global warming, what created that mile-high glacier that ended in Prospect Park, freezing for thousands of years so that we had a mile-high glacier? And then what humanity during the 100,000 years ago created the warmth necessary to melt that 1 mile high glacier after thousands of years? Were they burning oil? Were they burning coal? Nonsense. Man-made global warming is a myth. If there is global warming in this world today, it is because of sunspots, it is because of natural global warming, and there's natural global cooling. In 1970, the New York Times ran a headline, "Global cooling threatens the Earth." This was in 1970. Now the scientists said, listen, let's dream up global warming, which means that the developed nations of the world who use petroleum products and carbon-based products will be reduced to the level of third world countries with taxation and the removal of the use of carbon fuel products. If you are here today and comfortable, it is because there is carbon fossil fuel air conditioning this place, putting on the lights. When you drive home, you're using carbon fossil fuel to drive your cars home. Man-made global warming is a myth. It is really natural global warming. And if you don't believe in that, that's the way it is.
Okay, Rabbi, you get 2 minutes.
I am deeply saddened. There were people who laughed about a little guy with a mustache. The people have difficulty understanding science and things they can't see. This is a sad day when we have a president who, instead of developing alternative energy, develops alternative facts. Donald Trump signed a letter to the New York Times, along with other financial leaders, praising Obama for dealing with global warming and curbing carbon emissions. And then when he turned Republican for opportunistic reasons, he catered to people who are totally, completely out of touch with reality because caring about the planet interferes with their greed. Donald Trump treats Mother Earth the same way he treats the other women in his life. He discards them, he exploits them, he abuses them, he treats them like a commodity to be used and abused, and he moves on. But there's no other planet Earth to move on to. This is it. This is our only home. And how dare he change his opinion for political reasons? Every thinking person. Thank you. That is disrespectful what you just did.
Excuse me. I know that you feel like it's all about you. I know it. But you know what? It's not about you. It's about this man. Let him speak, because now we're going to end up having to waste more time. It's not about you. Thank you. It's not. And please, let's not do this, because everyone, we're a group. It's a collaborative effort. Okay, you get 15 seconds.
Listen, because I get emotionally involved in saving this planet. That is not uncivil. Trying to shout me down does. When you shout me down, what you're saying is there's a truth that you don't want to admit, that you're afraid of, and you're reacting to indoctrination. The people who deny global warming are the same as the people who denied that smoking caused cancer because they love to smoke, and they discounted the overwhelming scientific evidence and said there is no conclusive evidence because they were addicted to cigarettes like our country and the world is addicted to fossil fuels.
Thank you. Well, how do you like that? Okay, let's move on. Wait, yeah, you both get minutes more. Isn't that fun? You get another minute. Okay. No, that's not fair.
I hate to see Barry get excited like that, because global warming, people get excited when they know they are wrong. When they're back, I'll start again. If you applaud me, I appreciate that, but that takes my time away. People who have no basis in fact go on and they get excited. Global warming, man-made global warming is a myth. In the past 17 years, there has not been one iota of 1 centigrade, 1 Fahrenheit degree of the raising of this Earth's temperature. Not one iota of that. You know what? Let me say something to you people. I ran auditorium programs in the South Bronx with killers. And I threw them out of the auditorium when they disrupted it. If you want to open your mouth and disrupt it, do me a favor, pick your tuchus up and get out. Now I'll start again. Hey, I can do this all night long. It doesn't bother me one bit.
You get 15 more seconds.
I'll get more than 15 seconds. There is no proof of global warming. It is basically the third world countries who want to reduce the prosperity in the... Basically, it is... I'll start again. Again, I'll do this all night long. Basically, it is...
Excuse me.
Why don't you pick yourself up and get out of here?
I'm telling you something. I was a teacher, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not putting up with it. I'm going to come out, and I'm going to take anyone next, because I really want to do this the right way. This is supposed to be a fair. I came here. I want it to be right for all of you, and it's not going to be like this. It's not. Because you know what? If he feels excited, he's excited for a reason. If he says whatever he says it for a reason. Let's be respectful and not sit here and say, you're right. Guess what? Talk in the cafe later. Just sit and relax. 15 seconds.
There has not been one iota of a degree of Fahrenheit raised in this world in 17 years. The oceans are not rising. Al Gore said in 1990, and this is a quote, by 2010, the coastal cities will be underwater. I offer anyone living in this room now, wait a second, anyone in this room now, living on the coast, anyone living on the coast whose building is being threatened by global warming and sea rising in the next 10 years, I will give you 50 cents on the dollar for your house.
Thank you.
Right now, I'll buy the house.
Thank you very much. Okay, 1 minute for now the rabbi.
Wait, he gets a minute now?
Yeah, you got a minute, and now he gets a minute.
I sure hope that Alan isn't correct, that if you get excited about something, that means you must be wrong. Because I guess I'm wrong about my love for my parents, my love for my wife, and my love for my kids. What a silly thing to say. I'm excited because I care about the planet. And so does Netanyahu of Israel, who said that global warming is as serious a threat to Israel as the Arabs. Because he's smart, he's intelligent, and he's a socialist. The smartest people in the world all agree on global warming. So does our intelligence community. So does every country in the world except for us and Syria. We're in great company with Syria. You can see it before your eyes. You can see the ice sheets melting. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable that people can see. I went to Alaska and the natives told me, you see that ice over there? It used to be 2 miles back. It's all melted. You hear that over and over and over and over. How many times do you have to hear it before you don't believe your own eyes? How sad.
Wow. All right. Whew. Climate control, huh? Whoop. Okay. If we think that was exciting, wait until you hear number 4. Number 4 is, there appears to be a breakdown of civility between Republicans and Democrats. Go now. The left and the right, not doing too well. Almost every day, demonstrations are reported in cities and on college campuses across the nation, mostly directed against the Trump campaign, the Trump administration. The president has alleged that this is being fueled in part by an extremely biased mainstream media, and that he is being treated very unfairly. Fake news is a term one hears a great deal about. In your opinion, is the president justified in his feelings, or are there other factors to be considered? Rabbi Barry, you have 2 minutes.
The factor to be considered is that demagogues never like the media. Demagogues always rely on creating their own version of the truth, and anyone who stands in the way is ridiculed. At least that's the first thing that happens. Afterwards, who knows what. Donald Trump has waged war on the media because they keep him, or attempt to keep him, honest. Donald Trump is the most uncivil president we've ever had. Civility is not what he's interested in, it's servility. He's the only president who ever admitted to abusing women
Excuse me. I'm really, right at the beginning, the ground rules were no emotion. Can you just please let him speak? I think that we're adults. We're not 6th graders. It's kind of like an embarrassment that every single question, a group of 200-300 people, and you're on a TV show, this is going to go nationwide. Not only nationwide, it's going international. And they're looking at a whole bunch of people in Florida and saying that they can't even contain themselves. How embarrassing. Let them speak.
I'll tell you what's even more embarrassing. When the President of the United States brags about abusing women and says he can touch their private parts because he can get away with it. When he says he likes to go into the dressing room of teenagers in beauty pageants so he can ogle them. What's the saddest thing of all? What's the saddest thing of all is that there are people in this room who actually know that he said that, who actually heard Donald Trump bragging about abusing women and are shouting me down for saying that Donald Trump abused women. That's the saddest thing. It's denying the truth. It's an inability to face the truth. The guy himself admits it. And people in this room are upset with me. Why don't you get upset with Donald? He's the one who said it. Why don't you shout him down? He said I did it. Shout him down and call him a liar. Oh, I forgot, he did. He did that. After he admitted it, he called the people who said you did that a liar. First he said he did it, then people came and said he did it, and he said, no, you're a liar. The lack of civility comes from the top. A guy who abuses women, a guy who mocks the disabled, a guy who criticizes a prisoner of war because he got captured, a guy who compares the sacrifice that he made in hiring people to the sacrifice of a family who lost a son and who mocks them. You got the worst possible example of civility. He wants servility, and he's got it right here. He's got people right here who are so servile that if I say what he admitted, they're going to shout me down. Sad, sad, sad.
Okay, Alan, 2 minutes.
Wait, don't forget. I'm waiting.
We'll wait. Everyone deserves respect, right? And we're just going to be a little quiet. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Come on.
I love Barry. Barry's a dear friend of mine. He's a good friend of mine. You want to start it again, please?
No, really, I'm up here, I hear it too. And it's really not right. It's just not. You know, I think that if you really want to, let's say, applaud, if you want to like clap, that's appropriate. But talking to each other is just not. I hear it, and I hear it from everyone, so it's legitimate. Okay, so just sit back. Let's hear what he has to say. Even if you disagree.